Hello, welcome in everybody. We're gonna give it a few more minutes for people to flood in, but we will be getting started shortly, so just stay tuned. Kathleen, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing very well. Excited for the town hall today.
Same. It's my first one.
Oh, awesome.
I know.
Awesome. Well, I've only done a few so far, so we're both in the same boat, don't worry.
Yes. Well, I have heard you lead discussions before, and you are incredible. So
Oh,
I'm
thank you.
sure I'm in good hands, but just, be careful.
No worries. G-Hose, how you doing?
Yo, what up? How's my audio?
A little scratchy actually. We can hear you, but it seems like maybe a bit of a connection issue. Do you want to try again?
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
No, it's
Still
bad.
I have a quick question for Jiho and Kathleen and Henry. Do you guys want to increase the drop percentage of Axies a little bit during this space?
On Moku?
Yeah, because there's a
Mm,
special code you guys have as well that'll be given out. So we could increase the Axies a little bit.
I feel like that's a Jiho's question.
Chat, chat. What do you think, chat?
I think we increase the axes. That's my thought, but I'm not versed on this topic. Henry, how are you doing, man? Welcome to the Discord stage. Henry, we've got you on mute, so if you are responding, we cannot hear you currently. I'm going to ping Henry in chat. I see him talking. All right, Henry.
On Discord too.
Jiho, I assume, is messing with his audio settings. So I think we'll give him a few more minutes on that front.
Henry's having audio problems too.
Stay tuned, everybody. We're working this out. It'll be fixed shortly.
Ryan, where are you calling from?
I'm calling from the East Coast, United States. Just about 45 minutes from the DC area.
Okay.
Mic check, mic check.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Sorry, my default settings went to like not my mic and not my headset. So apologies.
Well, I'm glad we got it figured out. Don't worry. I think everybody has issues with Discord eventually, right? It just happens to everybody. Jiho, how are you doing?
All right, I changed my internet. Is this better?
Oh, so much better. Night and day.
Okay. I just moved into my new apartment, so I may have Wi-Fi issues a bit while we get things set up.
No worries. We're gonna do the best that we can, and from the sounds of things, sounds like it's going to be working just fine. So let's go ahead and get this thing started. Welcome everybody to the Ronin and CyberKongz Town Hall. This is a momentous occasion, if I do say so myself. I am Ryan. I am joined by Henry the Grape from the CyberKongz team, and Kathleen and Jiho's from the Ronin team. I would love for you all to introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit more about what you do, starting with Henry.
Okay. By the way, I thought about this earlier. I'm so excited to be here. Like months of just like a ton of work that is culminating at this moment. So happy to be here in the Axie Discord. I'm Henry the Grape. I'm the community manager of CyberKongz. I'm also on the Council of Kongs, which is our core team. So yeah, happy to be here. Happy to talk about our trip over to Ronin. So thank you for having me.
Of course, we're glad to have you. Kathleen.
So I've never been on a Discord stage before. So hello to everybody that I have not spoken to before previously. I'm Kathleen Osgood. I'm Director of Business Development at Sky Mavis. I lead our partnerships with third-party teams, ones that are either building out additional Axie games or building third-party games that don't have anything to do with Axie or may have things to do with Axie in the future. CyberKongz being one of them. I've been at the company for over a year and a half now, and I'm just so excited for the future here. It's crazy.
Well, I think I speak on behalf of everybody when I say that we appreciate you, Kathleen. Thank you for being here. Jiho.
Yo, what's up? It's amazing to be here with everybody on this momentous occasion. It was really exciting day, an emotional day. It felt like recently things have been percolating in the Axie ecosystem, in the Ronin ecosystem, and today was, I think, a huge push. I think it was really funny to see the community, speculate around this happening over the last couple of months with that heating up, in the last couple of days. And yeah, it felt really, really good to make this happen. For the community, it seems like it's been overwhelmingly positive. But yeah, this is, just the first step. All we've done is really announce something, and there's still a lot to execute on and still a lot to experience together.
Right. Yeah, the speculation was percolating in just the past 12 hours. Things have been so crazy. The communities, both CyberKongz and the Axie community, have been up in arms in excitement. And we've even seen entire organizations rebrand in the wake of this partnership. So how has it felt working on this over the past few days. I'm sure it hasn't been easy.
Chaos.
Let's start with Henry.
No, like utter chaos, but in an amazing way. We purposely the time. So all of this was orchestrated. You know, the entire marketing plan was carefully crafted between Ronin, between CyberKongz, and part of that was really wanting to wait till before the actual mint to announce this. Shout out to Jiho's on that. That I think was. I don't want to say we were fighting a little bit at the beginning on that because we weren't, but he really had this vision of when was the right time for it. So knowing that, we made our announcement last week, knowing that we were kind of like hanging ourselves out there a little bit because we were announcing mint price in this market where, I mean, you're just asking, everybody demands right now to know, what are you doing? What are you using the mint for? What's the roadmap? What's this? What's that? And for the first time, CyberKongz like didn't come out with, here's what we're doing. Purposely, but to be out there for the last 3 or 4 days, knowing that this was like in our back pocket, but we couldn't say anything. It's been like, because the reality is Thursday, we had a lot of people on Twitter that were hating on us. And it's hard to like, not gonna lie, I take it personally, even though I know it's just people. It's hard to not take it personally when you put the amount of work we've all put into this, but we knew this was coming. So to Jiho's point, today was like, it was emotional in an amazing way. Like best vibes I've had in Web3 in a long time. That's my take on it. Today was like, granted, it's the start. Thursday's the big day, but today was a really big deal for CyberKongz, and hopefully it felt like a really big deal to Ronin as well.
Kathleen, Jiho's, feel free to jump in.
Started working here, I have been tagged in posts being like, we want CyberKongz on Ronin. It literally has happened since day one. So be able to bring this to the community, knowing it's something that not only they want, but we know is right. We know partnering with this community and these builders is the right fit. The vibes are right. The vision is there. The ethos to continue building in Web3 and be pioneers and be innovators, it's there. You know, it almost seems it came together in this perfect marriage. It has been so hard to keep this in. I mean, I have not, last night I couldn't sleep. I felt like it was Christmas. And the big day is not even here yet, but just being able to deliver the community what they want is such an honor and such a privilege to be able to do and experience. And what these communities did, that's the power of bringing people onto Ronin that are a right fit. What happened today on Twitter and the explosion of happiness and threads and excitement and engagement, which led to all of these articles written about us. Our PR team obviously had a big play in that, but even publications picked it up that, you know, we previously didn't reach out to. I had investors calling me, big Axie investors, being like, this was more than we could have ever expected. The splash that this announcement made that was orchestrated by these two communities. It has been crazy, but we've also, I think we've had quite a few weeks to prepare for this. And although we are very nimble and we can execute, you know, within a week or even within a day, like that is what Axie community is used to doing. Having a couple weeks to prepare for this and bring CyberKongz into our operating platform, really think through how we should shape this announcement and what our relationship should look like. I want to say it was crazy, but it just felt like we were prepared, and we're going to continue on like that. So that's been my experience the past couple of days. I'm excited to possibly get some sleep tonight, but I know I'm going to end up staying up late tweeting.
Right. Well, good luck on that front. Jiho, what about you? How has it been working on this for the past few days?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a couple of months, right? Like, I think when we first started speaking to Henry, we didn't actually even know that they had this upcoming mint. We just wanted to, you know, chat and see what was going on and see if there was any opportunity. And it seemed like the stars aligned, right? There was like, I think as Henry mentioned, this kind of like avatar moment where it seemed like the forest was alive and things were just lining up in the universe. And yeah, you know, we were able to be decisive and make it happen. And yeah, this is definitely something that the community has wanted for some time, and there's just been so much overlap, so much synergy, right? We had, you know, Coco, Owl, Clumsier, and just and so many more people who kind of have had a foot in both universes. And as I mentioned in my letter, right, it's kind of like when you have like two friend groups that sometimes intermingle but are a little bit separate. Maybe they go to different schools, something like that. And to actually have those groups merge, it's really, really special. And yeah, the reaction has been electric. And yeah, we're gonna lean into that momentum, lean into that energy, and we're gonna build awesome stuff together on Ronin. So
Right. It does seem like a match made in heaven, just in terms of purely the aesthetics. I mean, for the first Web3 native brand to be introduced into the Ronin network, to have both the Kong aesthetic and also the samurai aesthetic as well, it just fits so well. But I'm actually somewhat new to CyberKongz as a project and an organization. So I'd love to ask Henry if you could give us a little bit of background on CyberKongz for myself and also our other listeners who might not be familiar with the project.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll caveat it by saying, similar to Axie's, like we're a deep ecosystem, so it's sometimes hard to kind of put it into a coherent statement. But I'll give it a go. CyberKongz launched March of 2021. And it really just started as a COVID relief project for our founder and artist, Mio. He was a tattoo artist that was basically during COVID was like out of work, was just looking to do something fun for himself. So he made 1,000 Genesis Kongs, and he put them on an OpenSea contract. There was no Discord. He had no idea that anybody would even buy these, and he just put it out there for 0.01 Ethereum. And what kind of happened was maybe one of the most organic starts to a project, because what happened was people really gravitated towards the art, and it sold out, I think, in 2 days. A Discord started, and all these people started filing in, of which were the foundation of who we are. OG Axies like Coco and Owl and Clumsier, and a lot of OG CryptoPunks. And they just vibed. They loved the art. And I think they realized early that it wasn't enough. Like, hey, this is really cool art. We have a cool community forming, but there's not enough of these. There's only 1,000 of these Genesis Kongs. So they came up with the breeding, kind of like their roots of Web3, utility, etc. They came out with breeding. They came up with the concept of the Genesis Kongs yielding banana, which is our utility token, and using that to actually give back to the holders. Because the holders would yield the banana and be able to use that to breed the babies. And that's when our second collection officially launched, was in April of 2021. 4,000 baby Kongs were bred from April of 21 to December of 21. But in that summer of 21 is where I think CyberKongz realized, like, we have something special. We're this like kind of grungy project. We're really rooted in the gaming side of the house. And decided that the next collection, which was our VX Kongs, would be our play for the metaverse and our play into the gaming world of Web3. So in August of 21, we launched 15,000 VX Kongs. Every Genesis and every baby Kong got a free claim. The rest were minted. They sold out pretty quick, and we're proud that we are the most interoperable NFT in Web3. We're into just about every metaverse, every major metaverse. Just about every major game in Web3. So like, gaming is at our core, and our community has been, I mean, like, literally since I joined Kongs, we're talking, at the beginning of Kongs, people were always like, be awesome to do something, with Axies. Like, it would just be cool because, again, we were born from that community. So at the end of the day, CyberKongz, if I were to like put it into this canned response, we're a gaming metaverse play. We love our IP. And at the end of the day, we're really about, progressing Web3 in an ethical way. Like, we always want to make sure we're being true to our community, and that we're being ethical along that way. We give back a lot. We've given a lot to charity along the way. Virunga National Park is near and dear to our hearts. Same with orangutan outreach. So yeah, we're proud. When I say we are proud as hell to be here in the Axie Discord, it means we survived better part of 2.5 years in Web3, and we are in the hollowed halls of the Axie Infinity world. So that moment is not lost on us, by the way.
Wow, that is quite a story. I had no idea that the entire project came around because of essentially an out of work tattoo artist, right? That is some extremely inspiring stuff, and I love the artwork, the pixel art. I think was it for the original collection. I'm an old school gamer. I love Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis. So those pixel art pieces really resonate with me. But thank you for giving us some of the history around CyberKongz. But I'd love to ask now about the future of CyberKongz and the Genkai collection. What is this project about, and what does the future hold for it?
Yeah, maybe one of the most exciting things that CyberKongz have ever done, because we're when I say we're 2 years removed since our last mint in August, literally in about like 20 days, it'll be 2 years since our last mint. And you know, to your point, like we love our pixel NFTs, we love our voxelized NFTs, but Mio as a tattoo artist has an affinity for Japanese inspired art. And so the culture of anime, he grew up with like Dragon Ball Z, manga. That culture is something that he really identifies with. And it inspires, like if you look at any of Mio, which by the way, I just want to say this, when I say the coolest, humblest, sweetest soul in Web3, that guy is unbelievable. Just an amazing leader in our community. So shout out to him. I don't think he's here because it's super late, but if you look at his art, like his tattoo art, he has a collection called Mio Origins where he dropped a couple pieces, and like you can see that inspiration of that Asian inspired art. And as a project, we realized about a year ago that going into Asia was really where we thought our home would be. We had a massive community out of Southeast Asia. And so we already knew that we had a big following in Asia. We could see by search results on Google that we had a lot of people that were looking at CyberKongz. So, like, you know, the most searched area of the world for CyberKongz was in Asia. So we're like, that's where we want to be. The regulatory environment in the US is like really uncertain. Asia is a booming crypto market, and it's where we want to be. So we decided, even though we hadn't named Genkai at the time, we're like, we're going to do anime art. Mio's going to do anime art specifically. I hope one day he shows the original concept art of what Genkai would have been, even though it wasn't called Genkai. Because if you see how far he came with the art, it's unbelievable from what it started at to what it is right now. And we realized, like, going into Asia, that the pixelized art and the voxelized art was not really going to be the best, if you want to say, medium for our future content. Comic books, animated series, mobile game applications, just the whole gamut of possibilities. So we thought that having an anime inspired collection would be something that people could really identify with in the regions that we were really targeting, and that it would really help us and help kind of boost our IP along the way. So that was how Genkai came along. We always knew that it was going to be part of our, everything in Kong serves a purpose. So we always knew like Genkai was going to serve a purpose. But I'm not going to lie and say from day one we knew what that purpose would be. But I can tell you this, like, as we iterated and as we started to understand what Genkai could be, when we started talking with Ronin, like when, the first conversation I had with Kathleen and Jiho is like, I'm not going to lie, I got off that conversation, when I say so hyped, like, I mean, like a level 11 out of 10 kind of hyped, because sometimes like Web3 isn't always easy. I think people underestimate how difficult it is to build in Web3. You can have like the most intelligent people, but building is tough. Purpose is tough. And sometimes like the gods of Web3 just shine on you a little bit, and magic happens. And that call to me felt like magic, like no lie. I got off of that and I was like, this has to happen. And I'm going to tell you specifically why, and I don't mean to hog the mic, but I just want to get this point across. We've already been cross-chain. We're on Ethereum mainnet. We're on Polygon. And if you want to say I head biz dev, like I'm probably the most front-facing person on CyberKongz. So I'm dealing with a lot of our partners. And the conversation that I had with Kathleen and Jiho's, just the very first one, which was maybe 30 to 45 minutes, give or take, I knew that they understood what a project like us needed more than anybody else that I had talked to, because finding that synergy in Web3 can be really difficult. And we've been on a chain where like we try and try. And after talking to them, I know I realized like they have the ability to help us and to really help propel this on the gaming side of things and across the spectrum. To Kathleen's point, look at the PR that came out today. There is like an entire suite of tools that are available in the Ronin ecosystem that benefits anybody who's in the ecosystem. And that was something that I felt it. So that is kind of like the origin of Genkai, how it came to be. But really the cherry on top was when we got together with Ronin and it clicked. It just clicked. And I knew that it was magic. Like I knew that this was going to change the trajectory of CyberKongz in an amazing way. And of course, we always hope that it helps change any trajectory of Ronin and Axie. Like we're not coming in here to take. We're coming in here to be a part of, to help grow alongside you guys as the first non-Axie IP on Ronin. That means a lot to us. And we want to be here to say like, hey, we weren't there at the very, very beginning, but we came along and together, like we helped grow this amazing ecosystem that you guys already have.
Sounds like love at first sight, Henry.
It was, I'm not gonna lie, it was magic.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Right. Well, I think when you have enough passion and drive to work as hard as you do on a project, it's tough to find that same level of energy in other areas. And when you are able to find that same level of passion and drive and ambition in another project, and then to have similar ideals as well, and to be able to come together like this, I think is just absolutely amazing. So I'm very excited for the future of Genkai. I did want to turn this over to Kathleen, though. I wanted to ask how we got to this point. What was it like when we just got the perspective of Henry, but what was it like for you aligning with CyberKongz? How did this idea come to be, and why was CyberKongz the right fit for Ronin?
I'm going to try and paint this picture quickly. So as you guys know, we have been working to onboard third-party games into our ecosystem, and we've been really selective about that. That's for many reasons. And the reason that we're selective is because we only have so many internal resources and capacity to really give these teams what we want to give them. And that is this white glove treatment where we've created this operating platform. For those that aren't familiar with what that is, it basically means if you're a game that works with us, you have a project manager, it is very structured. You're sent in all of these different groups where we have a tech group. We go over what your timeline is. What do you need integration with in all of our infrastructure, in all of our applications? And from a game perspective, what can we advise you on? Like really working with some of the founders and the people that made Axie, we've seen a lot. There's a lot of invaluable information we have. How can we give this to other projects? Similarly, on the growth and the publishing side, we have the best community of all of Web3, and they're hungry for more projects. And we have an amazing creator program. Shout out Quest or Moku. I'm very sorry. Shout out Moku. We want to figure out how we can leverage what all of you have done for Axie Infinity and leverage that for other games. And some people may say, oh, well, this is, audience going out of Axie Infinity. The partnerships that we're creating, they're bringing new audience in. So if we do this right, we can bring in more people to Axie Infinity. And that's by partnering with people that aren't going to take, market share of each other's games. And once we realized after we announced the first 5 games and they integrated with us, we have the capacity to take on more. And to some extent, we wanted to play a little bit more in the Web3 world. And the reason that we hadn't done that in the past and partner with this native Web3 IP is because we don't want Ronin to be known as a lesser chain. Ronin is a powerful chain. It is very inexpensive, but that does not mean it should be a lesser chain. It is high quality, and we want projects on Ronin to be known as high quality because they are going to be. And so finding a partnership in Web3 that already hadn't really married a chain or they had launched their Genesis collection on a different chain, and then they maybe would have launched like babies with us or sidekicks or pets. Maybe that'll happen in the future, but to start off right off the bat, we wanted a strong collection that could stand on its own, be powerful, and tap into our gaming ecosystem, because we now have all of these different sorry, I'm reading these comments and it's hilarious. I've never been on seen these fly through. We now have all of these different structures for IP and new partners to tap into, and we can create this amazing interoperable ecosystem with these IPs by doing this one by one, selecting the right partners, as opposed to Solana, IMX, Polygon, where they're letting everybody and their mother build with them. And what I think we're giving in terms of support, you're not ever going to be able to work with some of the leaders that created the fastest growing game in history, which is Axie Infinity, anywhere else. You do that at Ronin, and there is value that comes from that. So we got the go ahead from Trung like a month and a half or so ago, saying, hey, like, you guys can find some Web3 IP to partner with, but make it good. And we of course had a list already going, and I was talking with Jeff. Jeff is obviously like the king of all of this in the Web3 space, and I was like, we got to get on the phone with CyberKongz immediately. How do we get in touch? And he's like, oh, I'm already like best friends with half of these people. I knew Owl very well, but I just wanted to kind of do this right. And so, yeah, we were put in touch with CyberKongz. In the interim, we were talking with a lot of other native Web3 projects. But the second we got on the phone with Henry and he was describing what Genkai was, it was just a match made in heaven. We're like, oh, you have an Asian focused collection dropping with this new ERC 720X technology with all of these plans for the brand and IP, and you're going to do it in a month. Well, we can be ready for that. And our communities have this amazing synergy going on. It's almost like if we had this initial conversation and didn't make anything happen, that would be worse for us and for the communities. But we've deep down known the opportunity with CyberKongz for quite some time. I just don't think we had realized how prepared we were for it. And so, yeah, over the past month, we're like, let's make this work, figuring out, what are the different pieces of this and what can make sense here. It was really important that we got Play and Collect on Ronin, not only because we know we can enhance that game by having a very small transaction value in comparison to what it's currently on, but we want to bring Kongs into this ecosystem. We're going to build a game with them. Play and Collect is migrating, and there's so much opportunity that I can't get into right now. I got to save some cards for later, guys. But we also want to tap into the community. Like, what do you want to see out of this partnership? What type of game do you think you want to make, or should we be making? We of course have our own plans, but these communities are so smart. Like, these are two of the smartest communities in the entire space, and the people leading these two projects are absolutely brilliant. What we're doing by having this partnership set in stone, I think none of us even really understand the impact and significance this is about to have in this space in the future.
Absolutely. I think it's already having a huge impact. I think you made an amazing choice with CyberKongz, and based on the response from both sides of the community, I think everyone else agrees as well. And I'm not going to lie, I've never owned a non-Axie based NFT, but I think Genkai might be my first one.
Yeah, the art is spectacular. I paint on the side, and so when I was working through this deal, figuring out every aspect of it, I painted something in relation to CyberKongz, and I had to look at some of the art for a large amount of time. And I just sent a message to Mio. I'm like, the colors you use and what you do side by side, and all of the little things on this, it's just spectacular. There's so much thought. It's really trippy. It's psychedelic. It's cool, and it fits with what we have now. So yeah, the art is pretty fly.
Yeah, I completely agree. I do want to swing this over to Jiho. I want to ask if you could share some of your personal history with CyberKongz. I know Kathleen's story. She mentioned that you were already best friends with half the people on the dev team. So how did that come to be?
Yeah. So let's go back. Let's take a trip down memory lane. So it's March 7th, 2021, and I'm actually on my honeymoon, right? So I'm in a nice place. I'm with my wife, but I keep seeing these my Discord notifications popping off, and I'm like a psychopath. I don't actually pause my notifications for Twitter or Discord, so I literally can feel the heartbeat of the community, and and I I saw like Devicio and Coco talking about how they were aping into something and how the floor had gone from 0.01 to 1 ETH, and that everyone in the Punks Discord was talking about it. And but I had no idea what the fuck it was. But for some reason, I had this like feeling that I needed to run back to my room, like abandon my wife, and run back to my room to see what was going on. So I ran back to my room. I went to my laptop, and yeah, I saw the Kongs, and I fell in love with the art. I thought that they were super cute and whimsical, and I guess the pixel style really resonated with me. And yeah, I ate in, right? I bought two, and I think this was like the first time, right? So I posted the original tweet today. I think this was the first time that I ever posted publicly that I had bought anything in an NFT project other than Axie. And yeah, so then and that was kind of it for a little bit. I kept my eye on it, and I saw that the Kongs community within the Axie community was growing, right? And that actually I felt a little jealous in a way, right? Like I missed the times where Coco was like so just focused on being the Axie will, where Owl was focused on being a mod and working on building tools for the Axie community. Likewise with Clumsier, right? Like he was building Axie World. Clumsier was actually the breeder for the first Axie scholarship, right? Like where, in order to onboard people, we were working directly with Coco and Clumsier, where Coco had the Axies. Clumsier was actually breeding them, I think, with scripts, and then we were actually handing them out to people who wanted Axies, right? People who owned land in Decentraland. Anyways, so right, these really core contributors to Axie, they were splitting their time with some other project, and I felt a little bit jealous, right? Like I think and I think that's relatable, right? Like that happens in life, right? Sometimes you have friends that get another friend group that I don't know, for whatever reason you're not like spending as much time with them anymore. So yeah, but I think as I mentioned, right, like I think that's just part of life, right? And I just sort of that's that's an inevitability. We're never going to be able to go back to that golden age. But yeah, so that's why today, right? Like it feels so special because it's like no longer do we have to have these kind of like two separate groups. We can come together as one, right? Like I'm imagining like Axie Kong or Ronin community and Kong's community meetups, right? Actually, like I remember during I think NFTLA last year, we had an Axie meetup and there was a Kongs meetup at the exact same time, and there were so many people who were like, yo, like I can only be here for half the time and then I need to go to the Kongs meetup. And I was like, wow, like this is super sad, right? So I can imagine, right, a future where we're able to be unified, not just like online and in these digital spaces, but also perhaps in person.
I don't know if RonCon is a thing, Jiho, but I'm imagining heaven right now.
Yeah, I mean that everything is on the table. I think we can start iterate, right? Like we'll iterate, right? We can start small. I think we can like figure out like is there an ideal location to try and do some Axie Kongs meetup and go from there.
Or even Ron Kong.
Ron Kongs, nice.
Right. Now, I wanted to move on to the Genkai Mint. What else can we expect about this partnership between Ronin and CyberKongz? I know in the Substack we saw mention of the possibility of a new game entering the Ronin network featuring the Genkai NFT. Can we possibly hear anything more about that?
I think that's one of those things that we're keeping a little bit tight to our vest for a lot of reasons. And one of those reasons is we want to save some firepower. Like we knew we had firepower with the Ronin announcement going into Mint. We at least alluded to the fact that we'll be building a game on Ronin. And obviously the components of that will be Genkai. We're also migrating our existing game, which is a blockchain based game on Polygon called Play and Collect. We're migrating that over from Polygon to Ronin. So that's something that obviously wasn't nearly as big of a deal today during the announcement because Genkai is, front and center. But I guess we want people to understand, like, we are building on Ronin. We're migrating our ecosystem to Ronin from Polygon, which was a massive decision on our end and a massive move on our end. So, of course, we're going to build out a gaming experience on Ronin, and we're going to continue to build out our existing gaming experience on Ronin. And we're going to find ways where we can involve both of our communities into those kind of gamified experiences. And I think some of that will be taking some community feedback for certain elements of it. But realistically, like, listen, a ton of work has gone in to this partnership up until this point. But the reality is, like, after Mint is really when we get started. So a ton of work's gone in, but it's not lost on us that after Mint is really, like, it's really where the work goes in, which to a certain degree, I'm like, I'd love a few days off because it's been nuts. To Kathleen's point, like, sleep has been sort of at a minimum for the past like handful of months, but the grind like really begins after Thursday because that's when we start delivering. And there's a lot of work involved. The bridge is going to continue to be built, and then ultimately we'll be migrating this ecosystem over here. So I guess the long answer to that, my friend, is more on that is to come. But Kongs are all about transparency as well. So it's not that we're never going to say anything. We just want to wait for the right times to say something.
Absolutely. You wanna show everybody the finished dish, not the work in progress. And yeah, so stay tuned, everybody. There is more on that front to come, and I think everyone is excited to learn more about this new gaming experience. But all in due time. So I wanted to talk about the Mint details. So if everyone is not yet aware, the Mint starts on July 27th at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Now, when that time hits, what can people expect to see?
Mayhem. That's what we're hoping for. No, honestly, I was talking to my wife when I got home, and I probably sounded like an idiot to her because I was like, I think Thursday I'm not going to go into work. I think Thursday I'm going to be home. I'm like, actually, no, I probably need to go into work. And I'm running through all these scenarios in my head because the reality is I have no freaking clue what I'm going to be doing on Thursday because it's going to be a little neurotic. So Thursday, 12 p.m. EST, 4 p.m. UTC. That is when our limit list will go live on Ethereum mainnet. That's our version of the whitelist. So pay attention to this because we just want to make sure people understand this. We've put it in writing, but maybe hearing it's a little different. Simultaneously, we will have the Mint on Ethereum mainnet begin for our whitelisted wallets, and the sale on Ronin will begin at the same time. And the sale on Ronin is going to basically be a public sale. There's no whitelist for the Ronin sale. So if you have the whitelist or the limit list on Ethereum, you'll have 3 hours to be able to mint your Genkai. I just have a feeling on Ronin because the supply is much smaller. I just think it's going to be really interesting to see how that goes because everybody that I've talked to is saying, I want to mint on Ronin. And it makes sense. There's 3,000 for sale on Ronin. Of course, there's going to be a total of 4,000 because the Mystics are getting, the Mystics are getting some love in this. So that's what's going to happen at 12 p.m. EST. Mint on mainnet. Oh, yeah, that's going to be really interesting because there are traits that are going to be exclusive to Ronin. There's also going to be some traits exclusive to mainnet, but I just think I mean, listen, I've seen art. I've seen the art of Genkai. I think the traits that are exclusive to Ronin, they're just, I mean, they're special, right? I mean, this is a big fucking deal to us. So they're special, and it's a smaller collection. Ultimately, everything will be able to be bridged, so it's sort of one collection. But at the beginning, it kind of has this Pokemon Red and Blue vibe. So yeah, I think Ronin's going to go a lot faster than the limit list on mainnet for obvious reasons. After the mainnet 3-hour window for limit list, it'll go into a 1-hour window for people that are waitlisted. That's anybody who applied for our limit list is in the waitlist window of an hour. And if there's anything for sale after that period of time, that'll go into a public sale. But we have close to 40,000 wallets on mainnet that are waitlisted. So we'll see. I mean, who knows what Thursday is going to bring, how it's all going to work. But at the end of the day, I feel really good about it. Like today, I really felt at peace with everything that we're doing. Like, we don't want to be cocky. Like, Kongs aren't cocky. Kongs aren't arrogant. We try to always bring humility to the table. So it'd be foolish for us to be like, oh, Thursday, man, like, we're going to sell out in 5 minutes. No idea what Thursday brings. I just have today like a peace that I just haven't had while we've been grinding. So I'm feeling good. I'm going to be on Ronin at 12 p.m. EST to make sure I got a chance at a Ronin Genkai, though.
Right. Well, I mean, yeah, smaller population of exclusive traits means more rarity. And if I have a chance to get a 1 of 1, I'm definitely going to go for it.
Yeah, and I want to add this also. After the mint, so when people mint, first off, these do not reveal right away. It's probably going to be about a 2-week window before they reveal. But these are all going to be airdropped after the sale is complete. So when you mint it, you're not actually going to get something right away. Everything's going to be airdropped, similar to like the Meme Land Captain's Drop. Everything will be airdropped after the mint, sometime within like 24 hours of that. And to anybody who doesn't know this, anybody who is getting an airdrop, so like on the Kongs, Baby Kongs, Gen Kongs, and active VXs, and of course Mystics on the Ronin side of the house, those are all going to be locked up. So there's a vesting period of 180 days. We want to make sure like we're in tune with the secondary, knowing that if everybody's just getting if there's a total of 7,000 free airdrops, we want to make sure that those people, you're being rewarded with that airdrop. And so with that reward, we're like, hey, we want to make sure that people who are paying right out of the gate don't have to compete with somebody who has no cost basis in this. So if somebody wants to unlock their airdrop right away, they have to pay mint price. Otherwise, that price gradually goes down over the course of 180 days. So 90 days in, it's half the cost of what it would have been on day one. So we're just trying to be cognizant and respectful of everybody that takes part in this mint by doing that. And it's one of the cool things about the ERC 721X contract that allows us to be able to do that. It allows you to be able to lock those assets. So yeah, super stoked. I just want to make sure people know that, so that way they don't think something's wrong on Thursday when they go to mint.
Right. All right. That's a really cool system and great way to manage expectations, so we don't have a whole host of people sending in ticket reports asking where their Genkai is. So it'll take some time after the mint. It'll take some time after the mint, everybody. Don't worry if it doesn't appear right away. But wow, you said 40,000 wallets are whitelisted for this collection. And if people aren't aware, there are only 20,000 Genkai that will be minted. So it sounds like it might be a bit difficult to get your hands on one unless you're early.
And just so 40,000 waitlisted. So at least if you have a whitelist, you are guaranteed. Anybody who has a whitelist for mainnet, no worries. We did not over allocate. So you're guaranteed. It's the wait list where, whatever's left over from whitelist, who knows what that could look like. And again, Ronin, I'm honestly, Jihos, I don't know what you think about Thursday, 12 p.m. EST on Ronin, but from everything that I hear in the Kongs Discord and from anybody that I've talked to, I just think it's going to be interesting to see what that looks like.
I want hundreds of these.
I've been working out my clicking finger. I'm ready. I'm ready because in case everyone doesn't know, you can only mint one at a time. So you can't, if you want 5, 10, 100 Genkai like Jihos, you can't just click 100 and click one button. You have to sit there and click mint 100 times. So that makes it a little bit more difficult for someone to just come in and buy the entire collection themselves, right? Gives everybody a bit more of a equal opportunity.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Still, I think you have some really. I'm interested to see what happens because you've got some people who are really smart and have really novel ways of trying to max mint in those conditions. So it'll be interesting to see who gets what. But yeah, hey, listen, I will be in that fight. By the way, I will be in that fight to at least be able to mint one Genkai. I might not be as quick as Jihos, but I'll be in there swinging.
All right, everybody make sure you have your Ronin wallets ready and prepared for this launch. Now, at this point, I have run through all of my questions. I do want to open it up to the floor. We have around 12 more minutes left to go. So if anyone has any questions, feel free to throw it in the chat. Tag me if you really want me to see it. Otherwise, it might just fly by. And if you're feeling really brave, you can even raise your hand and we can bring you up on stage. Pasta asks, "What's the code?" I'm confused. Is there something happening behind the scenes that I'm not aware about?
Yeah, there is a code for the Moku and the Moku thing. I'm gonna drop the code, at the end. You're not gonna get it so easily.
All right, patience, everybody, patience. It will come. All right. Are there any plans for an auto battler with Axies? I don't know if this is really a Ronin CyberKongz question, but Gio, if you want, you can take that.
We haven't spoken about that. Got to be honest, we haven't spoken about that yet.
So I'll add this because I don't know if that was a Kong that asked. We're building an auto battler, so that may be part of the reason that question came out. So I guess hey, I guess those are all things that can be considered behind the scenes. There's a lot. When I say there's a lot of potential, there's a lot of potential for what Ronin, Axie, CyberKongz can do between the two ecosystems.
Awesome. I'm excited for all that potential to be realized. Scala God asks, or rather states, this is not a question. They state, we need Kong emotes. We need
Agreed.
Kong emotes in the Axie Discord and the Ronin Discord. Maybe even a Kong emote in Origins. Maybe. Who knows? That's just me speculating.
I mean, we're not trying to take over or anything, but I'm going to just say I fully agree with that statement. I think Kong emotes, they can be fun. So, hey, I like that comment.
So Zoe Lord asks, will there be a CyberKongz media kit for content creators? Now, I'm not quite sure what they mean by media kit, but I do want to expand the question and ask how you plan on working with creators to help bolster CyberKongz and especially this partnership.
Yeah, something that CyberKongz did from the very beginning, because I think Coco sort of being at the helm of CyberKongz, Coco's like one of the most giving people in Web3. So along with that, we had what we called Kongz Tank. We had it on mainnet, and then we did Kongz Tank Polygon Edition, which was really about empowering people to help within the CyberKongz ecosystem by giving grants. So on mainnet, we actually helped launch 2 projects, the Littles, Zen Apes. Zen Apes is kind of, I don't know, look, Web3, right? Projects come and go. But the Littles, they're still out there building. And on the Polygon side, we have a game that we are working on called Conquest. That came out of our Kongz Tank Polygon Edition. So I think those are the kind of ways that we like to empower creators, because at the end of the day, we're still a small team. We've been scaling, but we're still small. So we rely on our community. We've been really fortunate that we've got some really talented people in our community that have helped in like tremendous ways. Kongbot, one of them. Owl, of course, you know, with his contract abilities. Markman, who's one of our guys that does like animations and rigged all of our FBX files. 3D printing he also does. So yeah, I think people, once we kind of get a little bit comfortable in the ecosystem, I think people will begin to find ways where, and we'll be able to find ways where we can engage with people to empower content creators. And Ryan, do you mind, I just saw that somebody had written, they just said, what's the justification for the 0.25 ETH price? And I don't want to personally glaze over that. I'm happy to answer that. Do you mind if I get into that for a second?
Oh, feel free. Definitely.
Yeah, because I feel like it's a fair question that people have. Like why point? I think the question specifically was like, how do you justify a price of 0.25? And it's interesting. CyberKongz have always been judged differently than other projects. We all know projects that have launched recently that have been, let's say, 8 times that amount that sold out quickly. And we can all say, well, they sold out quickly because they had a lot of volume or their, you know, floor price was X, Y, or Z. All true. But at the end of the day, if you look at what CyberKongz have delivered to our community with just, when I say bare minimum funding, I've seen some ridiculous stuff on Twitter. What did we do with $20 million in royalties? Like $20 million in royalties? Do you realize that CyberKongz minted for 0.01, 1,000 of them? The baby Kongs, we didn't sell, and we sold 10,000 VXs at around 0.07. We got a little bit of royalties in that fall of 2021, but let's be real, when Blur came along, like royalties, we don't even talk about them anymore. We used the funds from those mints to be able to buy the most metaverse land of any PFP project, to have the cleanest build that's coming out in the sandbox, to have the files that we've been able to deliver to our community, our advanced FBX files, our fully rigged assets that every VX holder has, the 2D sprites that that all holders will have. They're if they're not done, they're just about done. Along with a lot, we've done like every major IRL event on like the Ethereum mainnet side of Web3, NFT LA, NFT NYC, Met Amsterdam. We've been present. We wanted to make sure that we could like show ourselves out in public and show like who the Kongs are, what we can do. We bring our 3D printed 8-foot tall gorilla. So the reality is this, like, and I probably missed a whole lot of stuff there on the development side of things. Play and collect, the claw that Coco put $1 million worth of NFTs into. All of these things that we've built, some of which were never even part of our roadmap, like play and collect, like the claw. And I think to myself, when people say like, how do you justify 0.25 ETH? I think, well, how does anybody in Web3 justify anything? How do some projects that haven't ever delivered a single damn thing ask for more than 0.25 ETH? So the reality is, when we looked at what should we price this at, first thing we thought of was Dutch auction. First thing, because Dutch auction is a way that you can almost ensure max FOMO, and you can ensure max funding. I mean, that's the reality of how Dutch auctions work. They feed on people's FOMO. They just do. But we wanted to be really careful about that. We like to be able to set realistic expectations. So if somebody comes in and they pay 1 ETH for a Genkai or 0.5 or whatever that number may be, well, maybe they're the person who's shitting on us, 2 weeks later, or 3 weeks later, or 2 months later, because it's not enough and I paid X, Y, or Z. So we looked at what people were charging in the market lately. We looked at what we have done in the past with the little funding that we have. We realized we need to scale more. We have to bring on more people. We have development that is obviously in the works. And we just said, like, this is a fair price. It's fair. Could we have charged less? I'm sure somebody could make an argument saying, yeah, you should have charged less in this market. Could we have charged more through a Dutch auction? I would venture to say really good chance that we could have. But we just decided, like, this is where we want to be. And we kind of did this in conjunction with Ronin. Like, we talk these things out. We want to be careful about what we do, because at our core, we're Kongs. Like, we never want our community to hate us for what they paid from us. What you pay on the secondary to somebody else, I have no control over. But we want to be really cognizant of what somebody pays us for the product that we're going to deliver. And so we felt confident that 0.25 was something that we could like show our face in public. as we build this out and say like, yeah, hey, you bought a Genkai at 0.25. We can't promise anything, right? Nobody should. But at the end of the day, we feel comfortable and confident that it's a fair price to ask for what we'll be delivering. And that, I hope that answers that question. That's how we came to that price. Anybody else who's launched something who just has a Dutch auction should be held to the same standard. And really any project out there that's launched anything recently should be held to the same standard. We wanted to make sure we were underneath the price of any major project that had launched in 2023. And I think we've done that. Sorry if that was long-winded, Ryan.
No, thank you, Henry, for that explanation. I'm sure it was appreciated. I do want to bring on a few guest speakers. We have some people from both the Ronin community and the CyberKongz community who are hoping to speak. So OGK, I'm bringing you up now.
Beautiful. I appreciate that, Ryan. Thank you so much.
Of course.
Yeah, really happy to be on the stage with all these legends here. I mean, I feel at a place. There's just so many amazingly talented people, and so yeah, just happy that you guys are all taking the time out to host this space, because I mean, I've been a Kong for a couple months, but obviously been in Axie for like almost 3 years. So I know the power of both of these communities, and the fact that they're coming together is just unreal. But I'm getting long-winded, and I'll get to the question here. But the question is kind of around the new kind of Kongz game that's been referenced. And I realize I might be getting a bit ahead of myself here, but and I totally understand that you might not be able to share like the actual details, but I'm curious to just kind of know, where is that at in kind of the development stage? Is it still like, are we at a point where we're still like conceptualizing what the game will look like? Is it already being developed? Like, where is that kind of at the moment? And yeah, appreciate all the insights and all the thoughts. And you guys are absolutely crushing it. So doing what you're doing.
Yeah. So on our end, Kathleen, sorry, go. I didn't want to cut you off.
What was the question intermingled in there, actually?
Yeah, I can go through it again, but basically referring to the game that was referenced, the new Kongz game that was referenced earlier. And I was just kind of curious as to like, where is that game in development? Is it still like early stages where we're still conceptualizing what we want it to look like? Is it already in development? Like, has it already, like, is the work already being done to start building this out? Like, and any details that could be shared around this game would be appreciated.
Yeah, I think, we want to be very careful and, under promise and over deliver with regards to the game. It is definitely, right, still being kind of conceptualized and thought out and scoped out. So, as Henry mentioned, right, like the hard work really begins after the mint. So yeah, I think we want to share progress as it develops without, biting off or sharing too much and then kind of locking ourselves into a certain direction from the beginning. So.
Beautiful. Yeah, I appreciate the insights, and I realize that might be getting a bit ahead there with that question, but always curious to just kind of get an understanding of where things are at, if people are able to share or willing to do so. So thank you guys for that, and obviously the mint is going to be absolute legend, and I'm going to mint as many as I can. And based on what's been shared in this space, I guess the game plan will be go to Ronin first, and then grab the waitlist ones after, because I think the Ronin ones are going to go in a hurry. And to be honest, on mainnet, I'm curious to see if any even make it through to the public mint. So it's going to be epic. Good job to everybody. Yeah, just so excited, and keep doing what you do.
Thank you, bro.
Thank you,
I can hear you,
OGK.
Kathleen.
Yeah, Kathleen, we might be having
reason
some
I
audio
can't hear her.
issues. I think
Yeah,
she
Jiho,
was...
she's talking.
Yeah, I think Kathleen might be having some audio issues. I think she was trying to speak earlier, and Henry could hear her, but none of us could. I'm wondering.
She's talking now. Yeah, she's actually talking now. You were both talking over, but you didn't know it.
Kathleen, I think she might need to leave the stage and hop back on.
Kathleen, yeah, okay, there she goes. She can hear you.
All right.
Oh,
what about now?
nobody else can hear her.
Hey, there we go.
Oh gosh, I thought y'all were just ignoring me. That's fine.
We wouldn't do that to you.
No, I wanted to touch on that. Jeff, thanks for taking down that question. It's definitely in early stages as this partnership just came about in the last couple months, but we are very prepped and primed to take on this type of project. We have been working on expanding Axie with some world-class development studios that have a history in certain categories of shipping incredible games that we have vetted for working on Axie-related games in the same genres that they're really great at shipping at. So once we finalize the exact details of this game and the genre, we have a whole pool of developers to tap into that are qualified and experienced. And because we have taken that foray with Axie and really done our diligence as to like, who are the dev shops, who are the game builders, who has shipped something in the past, and who maybe wants to dip their toes in and use some CyberKongz IP or Axie IP and ship something incredible. We now have those relationships and that know-how from doing it with Axie. And I'm not saying that's exactly how this will go with CyberKongz. There's a lot more planning to do. We want to get this right, and we want to create something innovative. And these are the two teams that can do this. And this goes to say that a lot of conversations have been had regarding what this can be and what the right move is. But again, we do want to tap into the community and make the right play for not only our existing community, but for the expansion of the entire Ronin network community. What is going to be the right play there? So I think we are armed and ready for battle to take on this next challenge, which will be building a game together. And it is the right people in the room, I'll tell you that much, to make this happen. So very excited.
I'm excited as well. Thank you for that, Kathleen. I'm going to bring up Uncle Matt next. Uncle Matt, you have been brought upstage. Hello, hello.
Hey, how are you guys? Ooh,
It's going well.
Henry?
What's up, bro?
What up?
One thing that you guys have failed to mention from what I've heard so far was, I got into Kongs in February 22. There was a lot of people in there before me for a while, and since. If you had just used your 2.2 Matic, 1.1 now that it's gone a little bit farther, through that time to run your VX runs and save your bananas and stuff, you would have had that 0.25. So these people saying that the Kongs aren't there, plus I don't know, from Coco's fun airdrops in the Discord, man. I've had enough to get at least 1 minute out of that.
Yeah,
That's
I think we've always. Oh, go ahead.
That's a really fair point and interesting point. I think another thing is that, play and collect is super expensive on Polygon, right? Like, our internal projections are that running play and collect would actually be 10x cheaper in terms of gas fees on the Ronin network as well, right? So, my understanding is that, especially recently, those gas costs that you get from sending your teams out, they start to add up.
And I'm really. Oh, go ahead, Matt. Go ahead.
I was just going to say that seems like a no-brainer.
I'm happy. So Owl has been, of course, been busy behind the scenes, but Owl has been. I don't want to say wanting. It's not the right word because Owl has probably been working on this. It's just not to the full degree that he will be, which is the upgraded contract to play and collect. And I am so glad that he did not finish that or put a ton of time into that before we came to Ronin. Because I think coming over to Ronin, to your point, Jihos, the gas that people will save, the experiences that we can build on Ronin with play and collect, the support that we'll have from a blockchain that understands gaming, at their core, I think I think this is going to be something really, really special for CyberKongz and for anybody on the Ronin network to be able to have this foundation of what CyberKongz is. Play and Collect is like the foundation of our ecosystem. To be able to bring that over to Ronin just gives us a ton of options. And Matt, to your point, CyberKongz are always about, like, I say rewarding, not in a Ponzi way, but we're always thinking of, like, how do we give back? How do we reward the community members? Obviously, if you had a Genesis Kong and that you bought for 0.01 ETH, let's say you got 2 of them in order to be able to breed a baby, or somebody helped you breed a baby Kong, you've effectively had a Gen Kong for 0.01, a baby for free based on your banana yield for 2 months, 2 free VXs because your Genesis Kong and your babies would get a VX claim, and now Genkai. So, like, those are the kind of things that we'll be thinking out as we expand the ecosystem on Ronin, and as we build out Play and Collect, and as we build out any gaming experience. That's always at the forefront, is like, how do we reward the community in the process? I think Axie has kind of paved the way with I mean, you guys have been doing this longer than anybody else in Web3. And the crazy thing is, random thought, but like, Geos, I think you were talking to Whale on his thread about, like, the NFT projects with, like, the most volume, and they completely, first off, they left Kongs off of that chart, and they left you guys off of there. And, like, you guys are, like, literally the number one NFT collection of all time, literally of all time. Paved the way for so many projects that came after you. And to not even make it onto some of these threads, I'm just like, that just shows how shit crypto Twitter can be, and how little some people understand about Web3 gaming ecosystems and Web3 in general, because both of us got left off of that list. And you guys should have been at the very top, even though, to his point, this was PFP projects. But the funny thing is, I see all kinds of Axies rocking PFPs of Axies. So, like, to me, it didn't even really make sense. Random thought, Geos, but I guess my point was, sometimes I feel like projects that build, projects that give back, projects that bring utility don't get the love from Web3. But at the end of the day, I'm telling you, these type of partnerships are what's going to change the landscape of Web3 in the future. I guarantee it.
People are returning to the real, right? Like, people are tired of vaporware. They're tired of empty promises. They're tired of projects that are all hype, no delivery, no utility. And it's becoming clear that the intersection of NFTs and gaming is the obvious way to, right? So it's like, no, people are tired of, like, fanny packs and merch and live events, right? That's all, to be honest, merch and live events, that's all important parts of community building. But you also need to have technical innovation. You also need to have experiences that can entertain people for hours, for weeks, right? So people are tired of the current meta, and it's time to shake up the meta. And that's basically what I see in Axie and I see in CyberKongz, is we are the meta definers, right? When the rest of the space is bored and doesn't know what to do, they're not good enough to come up with the next meta. And historically, the 2 projects that I've seen be able to define the meta and set the trends are Axie and CyberKongz, right? Like, you guys created NFT staking, we created, so much, like Play to Earn, now with AXP and dynamic NFTs. And, you guys have innovated on the technical front and the security with a 721X, right? Like, so we're the innovators, and, the rest of the space is going to be watching us and figuring out what to do next.
And last thing I wanted to say before I go, Henry, you also forgot to mention the charms we get from our babies, the Play and Collect items we get from doing adventure runs, the claw, and then also all the merch and live events. So you have a nice night.
Matt, always great to see you, bro. All true. Yeah, all true things. I think this was, man, again, it's hard to wrap cyber. It's no different than Axies. Like, hard to wrap it into 30 minutes, 40 minutes. 3-minute sound bites. It's tough because like we're both really deep ecosystems that have been building for years at this point. So yeah, I probably missed a ton of stuff on this. But the good news is we get to run this back again tomorrow morning Eastern time, where we get to do a Twitter Spaces, and so like we'll be able to probably answer even more questions tomorrow as well.
Yeah, it's tough with technology and topics that are this in depth to really go over everything in the small amount of time that we have allotted. We are running over time a bit. I want to bring up one more guest though, because I've seen their hand being raised almost this entire time. Oranga, I am going to bring you up to stage. You'll be our last speaker for the night. Or maybe not. They may have left the Discord, unfortunately. Well, to fill in the time, I did see this question and I am very curious about it. It's Oranga in chat. Great. So we get to ask the same question anyway. They want to know about the rarity of Genkais. Are there different rarities of body parts that we should know about and something that we should be looking for when we go for that mint?
Oh yeah, there definitely are rarities. Yeah, absolutely. So I think on the Ronin main Twitter account, I think the PFP that they're using, that to me is like Grail Genkai. Keep in mind, all of this is going to be RNG. Okay. Mio might have some tricks up his sleeve with legendaries, but I'm going to be honest, if he has legendaries, I mean like one of ones, I can't answer that right now. He's been a little bit quiet on that part, but there are absolutely going to be rarity tiers within this. We've posted some of the teaser art on Twitter, so you can look at like what some of the traits are. But yeah, there's going to be some grails out there. There'll be, just like any good collection, there'll be some grails. There'll be a middle of the road traits, if you want to say that, and then there'll be some floors. But the cool thing is this, like I was rocking a floor Genkai for probably 4 weeks. It was just like a grape Genkai with an eye patch, very similar to like the PFP I'm rocking here. And it would be by all standards a floor. And I was like, I love this thing. I don't care that it doesn't have a grail trait on it. So even the floors, like I'm telling you, you guys have seen nothing when it comes to the art that Mio has. He's shown a few things. You've seen nothing. This guy is in the zone. I cannot wait for you guys to see what it is that he brought to the table. His layering is on point. His traits are on point. There are I don't think we've really said this, but we did, if you read the website or the blog post, which most of us don't read, we have our tribes of Neokia. Neokia is our supercontinent where our lore takes place. So there's tribes. Those tribes have specific attributes to those tribes, and specifically furs that are part of each tribe. There are furs that nobody has seen that are brand new to the CyberKongz ecosystem they're mind-blowing. So I can't wait for people to actually see those post-reveal. When I say mind-blowing, I mean like amazing art from Mio that he hasn't even teased. Like nobody's seen anything like it. So excited for people to actually reveal those after mint.
Exciting stuff. So very in-depth rarity system. If you want to learn a little bit more, make sure to check out the CyberKongz Twitter account. But for the full picture, you will have to wait for the post-mint era. Now, I do have one more question that I'm going to open up for both Henry, Jiho, and Kathleen, just because I've seen this question being posted in different ways about 10 different times. And this is about cross-integration, I guess, between Axies and CyberKongz. Is there a world where we could see CyberKongz as chimeras in Axie Adventure or Axie Homeland? Or is there a world where we see Axies enter the CyberKong universe in their new gaming experience? Is there a potential for cross integration like this?
I sure as hell hope so. I mean, I'm. Go ahead, Kathleen.
My answer to this is the sky is the limit here, pun intended. We have the real opportunity to create insane collaborations and cross utility, it has to make sense. But why else are we in this industry if we can't explore what this technology enables us to do? So that's usually what I go with when I'm asked that.
Yeah, if things make sense, right, and aren't just gimmicky or right, like quote unquote interoperability for interoperability's sake, then right, like we're always very practical but so we want to lean into that imagination, but also in a way that really brings benefits to people. So,
and I'm going to
and
say,
be thoughtful about it. That's
if there were ever two teams
go ahead, Henry.
that could put, no, I was just going to say, if there was ever two teams in Web3 that had the ability to pull something off, because we all know integrating communities into each other without, to Jiho's point, like, oh, we're interoperable, we're in your game, but there's no like meaning, there's no real meaning behind it. If there was ever two teams that could ever pull something like that off, it would be the two teams that are here. I think that's fair to say. So yeah, to Kathleen's point, the sky's the limit of what can happen.
Again,
very-
it will be meaningful, thoughtful, I think is the core point that we want to get across is we have all this opportunity, but we're not just going to do something to do it. There's going to be a plan behind it, and it's going to be thoughtful. And yes, we have all these tools and opportunity for integration and collaboration, but we're not just going to like throw shit at the wall and see if something sticks. We're going to be thoughtful about it, just like we were thoughtful about everything that went into this announcement.
The future is looking bright, everybody. This partnership is absolutely huge, and I cannot wait to see all of the amazing things that come from it. But with that, I do want to bring it to a close. Thank you so much, Henry, for coming out here and giving us all this information about CyberKongz and the new Genkai release. Jihos, Kathleen, thank you all so much for being here as well. And thank you to the audience as well.
We need to drop the code. We need to drop the code.
Right, people have been waiting. Jihos.
Yeah. So the code is drumroll. Hamaya.
Hamaya? Can we get that in chat?
Yeah, we have it in there. This is actually a Japanese Axie trait. It's the arrow on the back.
Awesome. All right, everybody. The code has been announced. Hamaya. And it is in chat, so you can get the specific spelling. Perfect. All right. Thank you, Jiho. And thank you to everyone in the audience for coming and joining the town hall today. But
this was this is my first town hall, and this was the best experience. I didn't realize just how active all of you are within this type of environment, and I just want to say it's such an honor to be part of this community. And now, bringing in the CyberKongz to the mix, we have something real special here, and it's because of people like you, all of you folks that are attending, and excited. Just keep delivering for you, keep shipping, and we'll see what the future holds.
The community is a lot larger than it was last week, and that's not just because of the addition of the Kongs. Like, we're seeing like a lot of people come back to the Axie community. I'm seeing OGs active. I'm seeing people saying that their scholars are returning and wanting to play. So things are percolating. I do have this really interesting feeling where it seems like the tide may be turning here. So stay tuned for the next episode, for the next chapter. But yeah, I'm more excited than I have been in a long time, and it's great to see that energy in the community as well. So sending strength, sending love. It's been awesome to be out here in public with you, Henry. We've mainly only spoken in private before, so this was really a pleasure. And this is going to be a long week. This is a freaking big week. And yeah, I'll see you on Twitter. I'll see you in Discord. I'll see you
in 11 hours. I will see you on Twitter. We'll run it back with Kathleen.
For sure.
Let's keep up this energy. Let's make tomorrow more explosive. let's keep this up, everybody.
We hit 600, by the way, so I'm proud. That means that I will be, you know, filling up the machine. I'll coordinate with Hantao around filling up the machine, so stay tuned on that as well.
Awesome. Well, thank you everybody for the last words, and thank you everyone in the audience for joining along today. And with that, we will bring this to a close. Thank you all once more.
Thanks, Ryan.
Yeah, thanks, Ryan. See you guys.